They're questioning now why the whistleblower sources in the White House didn't file a complaint themselves. Why is this, a second party? That's the question, as the New York Times is reporting that the whistleblower is a CIA officer detailed to the White House. And now, new video obtained by Bloomberg showing that President Trump slammed the whistleblower during a private event in New York City yesterday. Watch this.
The person that gave the whistleblower the information, because that's close to a spy. You know what we used to do in the old days when we were smart, right? The spies and treasons, right? We used to handle it a little differently than we do now. These people are sick. They're sick.
Some GOP lawmakers suggesting the whistleblower's complaint was part of a much larger effort against the president.
If you really want to get to the truth, I guess we have to find out who the whistleblower talked to, and I would like to know who helped the whistleblower put together the complaint, because it surely seemed to have been written by someone of high professional abilities. It seemed like a legal document.
But Democrats accusing the White House of a cover-up. Watch.
The transcripts with the Ukrainian president, which were in an open system that White House employees could access, were moved into a top-secret covert action system, which is not to be used for political reasons or to protect anyone, only for the most sensitive secrets, which I think shows a consciousness of guilt.
Meantime, we're learning more about the timing of events surrounding that Ukraine call with the president. Fox confirming at least one senior DOJ official was made aware of that call at least 10 days before the complaint was turned over. Well, that official then went to the White House to read the transcript of the call. All right, so now we're getting a detailed timeline of all of this. We're also getting this interesting report from the New York Times, which is a bit concerning to me, that this is a CIA officer, because you're now outing somebody. How hard is it to figure out who this person within the CIA is? The question is, does the whistleblower's identity get protected as much as it should, considering this was a second-hand account, not a first-hand? Jessica?
Well, you would hope so. It's concerning for everybody, especially that we know that it was someone who was detailed to the White House and is now back at CIA headquarters. That's something that DNI McGuire was talking about that was incredibly important. And we know that Michael Atkinson, the IG, who first saw the complaint and did the 2 weeks of research afterwards to corroborate what he heard from the whistleblower, is concerned about that. But there are so many twists and turns to this story. It's really hard to focus on one thing. Getting the timeline obviously matters, but the new information that we've gotten from yesterday about the president directing NSC lawyers to store the information about the call in a top secret clearance area so that obviously people wouldn't be looking at it is deeply concerning, and it shows that he knew that there was something that he needed to be hiding.
I need to just read from the Whistleblower Protection Act, because that does address this whistleblower, how this person got the information. This is the Intelligence Community Whistleblower Act. It's the ICWPA, and it clearly states that ICIG must be in possession of reliable first-hand information, not second-hand knowledge of wrongdoing, not information received from another person, such as when a fellow employee informs you that she witnessed some type of wrongdoing. So does this person then deserve the same protection because this is secondhand information, Pete?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've used the phrase whistleblower. Now, I understand it's become a legal designation in this process because it was conferred upon this person properly or improperly. But we know at this point it was based on hearsay, secondhand. I believe that whoever this individual is a leaker who used a legal process. So this was information they felt would be damaging to the president. We know we were hearing there were political motivations for this person at one level or another. And there's a process you can get it out and leak it to the press that turns out it's legal. So he heard stuff, he lawyered up, and he went through the whistleblower process. So mistakes were made in giving this person, whoever it is, that kind of title that gives them a shield, gives them credibility. Right. Who are the hearsayers? That's also what I want to know. Who are the people that turned this information? If you're the president of the United States, right, you are maddened by the fact that private phone calls with foreign leaders are making their way into whistleblower
But does it matter
complaints?
that there was an alleged, and we read the memorandum, it wasn't a transcript, alleged abuse of power by the presidency, a request for foreign interference in an election. I mean, this is why
that's not ultimately what happened in the call.
Well,
but can I also say, the Justice Department's criminal division also took a look at this and found that they didn't believe there was anything there on campaign finance violations. These are career prosecutors that took a look at this.
They also didn't know about the aid being withheld at the time.
We also had Kenneth Vogel, who tweeted from the New York Times last night, the Ukrainians weren't made aware of the assistance that was being delayed or reviewed until 1 month after the call, which I also think changes the context of the conversation a little bit as well. Additionally, I do think we should question the whistleblower because we have the intelligence inspector general said that the whistleblower had a political animus and actually preferred a political rival of President Trump. So considering the fact that if you look in the context of going back, even with the Russia investigation, you see people like Comey, you see people like Brennan, Peter Strzok, all of these people in that community that had an animus, had a bias against President Trump. I think that is a fair concern, particularly when the inspector general raised that point himself.
Michael Atkinson?
The intelligence inspector general said that. It's in the Department of Justice OLC opinion that they released to the public.
One thing that Jessica said, just to kind of dot some I's and cross some T's here about the allegation, let's call it what it is, in the whistleblower complaint, the allegation that the call transcript was moved to the secret system reserved for code word level intelligence, such as covert actions. The reports out, and John Roberts mentioned this last night on Special Report, that the Trump administration reportedly began placing transcripts of President Trump's calls with several foreign leaders in highly classified repository after leakers publicly divulged the contents of Trump's private calls with leaders of Mexico and Australia in 2017. So there is an explanation to this. And whether this individual would at the end of the day, deserve the whistleblower protections. Yeah. The point is this is moving ahead in the way that it should. We publicly do not know who this individual is. This individual will likely be testifying in front of the Senate and House Intelligence Committees at some point. Maybe it happens within a matter of days. But the point is that this is progressing as it should. And the reason that there is no cover-up is because we found out about all of this because the transcript of this call, what you want to call it a memorandum, the memo of this call was revealed by the White House.
Released.
That the complaint was released by the White House.
And also,
so again, you want to talk about transparency. The person who deserves protections is getting them.
But we have to admit that was a preemptive strike because they knew that the impeachment inquiry was going to be launched.
But he didn't have to.
But why would they launch? But that begs, we'll get to that later. But that begs the question of they announced the impeachment inquiry based on what? Because nobody really knew any of this information.
There was critical information that was also wrong in the whistleblower report. The whistleblower report said that there wasn't anything of sensitive information on the call with President Trump. That's not true. He talked to Zelensky about other foreign leaders, also about Russian sanctions. It was marked sensitive, and President Trump had to declassify it to release it. So that is key, critical piece of information, that was wrong.
But the information was already out there. I mean, Giuliani appeared on Chris
But it raises
Cuomo's show
questions about the whistleblower's credibility.
They talked about Biden, but all of that information was already out there. So it's not like
also some of the information
regarding
that we had.
Conversation.
But some of the information we had before the transcript was released based on newspaper reporting wasn't right.
Yes.
It was inaccurate. Just like the acting DNI McGuire threatened to quit. He said, no, I didn't threaten to quit. So, again, a lot of the information being revealed by the White House, waiving executive privilege, if you will, is because the information out there has been wrong.
We have to be honest about the fact that it is critical when people say this is not corroborated and they're now going after the whistleblower. And what President Trump said in that breakfast meeting yesterday was disgusting when he said we used to be able to do these things a little bit differently, which when someone commits treason. No one has committed treason here. And they are working to protect the United States of America. They believe that this president is abusing his office. But if you think this is funny?
This is the most vetted, investigated president ever. He's been under siege even before he was elected, and they've still found no crimes. It's a pathetic obsession by the Democrats, the folks inside the bureaucracies, and the media, which, to your point, got way out front of their skis on this, reporting inaccurately on something they thought was going to be the silver bullet. And then once the White House released it and everyone looked into it, turns out leaders have conversations with foreign governments.
Does it concern you that there's reporting that the president's own staff was trying to keep him off the phone with the Ukrainian president because they were worried he was going to bring up Vice President Biden and Hunter Biden.
Maybe President
does it
Trump
concern you that he uses
is
the word
concerned about
reciprocity?
corruption because maybe there was massive corruption, like the Clintons and the Bidens using their political influence to enrich people.
Maybe go to another.
Maybe that's true.
But maybe go to another source, another avenue to try to dig up information. I think that's
and
the
to
question.
Dagan's point, look,
is it proper to go to another world leader to talk about?
Of course
digging up
not. It's
information
foreign
on a political
interference.
level?
Jess, I think we
we'll
can
talk
all
about a lot more of this
to
later.
Dagan's point earlier, who I think is absolutely right in this. Look, there's been so much information that has been incorrect, that has been reported by the media. So I think everyone should take a little bit of a step back because the dynamics could change so much even next week.
I think the concern of leakers, that is also another concern. And we'll, of course, more on that in a moment.